Off the top of my head, let's do this. I got so many messages. Is it game of the year? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it? We got to talk about this. I took my time with it. I took Monday off and Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It took me 30 hours to do the main quest. I'll be honest. I played the first 10 hours and I was looking at reviews. I almost returned it. I'm like, I don't feel that original shine to it 10 hours in. I felt like I was playing part 1 DLC. Story was, I'm like, it's the same robots. That felt like the old game. But then eventually, after 10 hours in, the world gets bigger, everything gets better, the monsters are harder, the robots, whatever you want to call them, the monsters and everything, they sell out the big old San Francisco on top of the cover where you only get to it at the end of the game, which is cool, but you can still go back and explore once you finished it. The only thing I don't get too is all the way through, the bosses are okay hard, and then you get kind of a Dark Soul type of boss at the end. Final bosses, just make sure pack some acid arrows. I'm only saying that. Get ready for that, because they don't tell you. You know that original feeling you had, the story? That's the shine I was missing, because you know they making, most of these days they're making money for a cash grab, and they, you know, but Guerrilla Software, you guys, you have outmade yourself. Like that original shine you gave it to the first one, like the story of Aloy in the first one. She was a little girl, she was alone, she got adopted. You'd feel for the character, you'd feel for her, you'd be like, man, it's so sad. And we all kind of feel that story. Is always one part of our lives we got thrown away, put aside, and it was really touching. And her dad that trained her, or her adopted father, because we all learned she was, anyways, if you didn't finish the first one, she is a clone of whatever, and I don't want to spoil it, but anyways, her father figure, that story was straight to the heart. It hit hard. And the second one, after 10 hours, you get the same. Man, I was almost crying. I'm like, finally, Guerrilla Software didn't forget about us. They made a masterpiece like they made the first one. But this one is, it took me 30 hours to do the main story. There's so many side quests. There's so much gameplay, so much replay value, so much stuff to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to talk about it. There's too much. Yes, it's a masterpiece for me. Yes, it's a must-buy, must-own. Yes, like the first one, it's Game of the Year for me, Part 2. Game of the Year. I can't wait for Part 3. I don't want to compare, but to me, it's the best series Sony ever made, to me. Like, I love Days Gone also. Days Gone. Days Gone. Man, I still wish we'd have a Part 2, man. That was such a masterpiece. I don't know why people complain it was boring. But, you know, a lot of people love God of War. I love it too. Kind of miss the old type of God of War, but it's good. But to me, Sony in the past years, the best franchise they ever made for me, it's Horizon. There's nothing better. So I was really hyped up. It was the reason why I bought a PS5. It was the reason for me to buy into PS5. It was this. And at first, I almost returned it. I'm like, man, it's like a DLC. It's the same game. What's up with that? I was kind of disappointed. Then you go further in, and because in the beginning, you're playing in Part 1. And then eventually you go further in and you see this awesome world. And you go to Vegas, underwater, and it's soaked, and it's so awesome, and you have the neons and everything, that feeling when you get to that part, you're like, man, your heart melts, and you're like, whoa, this is something else. This is something else. And they made it bigger, better. Like I said, the monsters. Eventually, you're fighting a monkey. You're a monkey. Sorry, I'm losing my English. I don't get to practice. Monkey. You're fighting crabs. You're fighting giant turtles. T-Rex we had in the first one. What else? We're fighting. What else? What else? Alligators, Triceratops, a bunch of other dinosaurs. But the thing is, even the tiniest, the biggest, all the monsters are really, really, really tough. Like crazy tough. The kangaroos, those monkeys. There's monkeys. The kangaroos are so tough, and those giant lizard with flames. Then further on, you learn on because in the first game, you had a bow and arrow. It was pretty simplistic. I don't remember if we had an upgrade tree, but in this one, you have 6 different upgrade trees to upgrade your characters. You have the stealth one, you have the bow and arrow one, you have the fighting one, you have the help one. I did, first and foremost, keep that in mind. It's very important. Upgrade the bow and arrow. If you want that feeling of the first game, all your skill points, put it in the bow and arrow. Then you can do whatever you want. I can't remember. I got to go back and play it. Was it more simplistic? There's so much stuff to upgrade. So much stuff. But there's so much, but they're divided. Whatever you want to play. So I basically picked all the stealth skill tree, the health to heal faster, and the bow and arrow. The other ones, I didn't put anything in. Because it was important to me to be good at the bow and arrow. And it's basically it. That's what make Horizon super good, is the bow and arrow. You got to go for that. Boss battles, there's so much boss battles, so many different creatures. Because at first, when you started, you're like, man, it's the same robots. This is so boring. And then further in you go, there's more and more kinds, different types. The boss battles, this giant freaking bat. It's just insane. The mammoth at one part. There's another type, not a T-Rex. I don't know what it's called. It's really crazy in this metal cave. But I don't want to forget anything. I'm trying to cover everything. It's bigger, deeper, and side missions are really awesome. Remember those tall necks? You had to somehow figure out how to climb them in the first one. It was kind of easy. But in this one, I think you got 5. But there's a side quest to build them up. There's a way for each and one of them. Like, they did it different. You know what I mean? It's not just climb it up and you capture the map. Because in, Assassin's Creed, you go on top of the tallest building, do the eagle vision, and your map gets bigger. Horizon, you go on top of this big robot with a dish head, and you scan on top of it, and you plug it, and your map gets bigger. And further on the game, that's also the thing. Maybe halfway through the game, you can go on the water. You can swim forever. Never run out of air. And that part is really epic. Don't fight anything underwater. It's really tough. The other good part, even though outside of side quest, that's how much, like I said, main quest 30 hours. I did a little bit of running around to get my, I don't know what you call it, where you put your arrows in to make the bag bigger or your potion bag bigger. You have to go hunting for different species. And eventually, you can go underwater because some stuff you can't upgrade. You need fish skins and stuff. And I'm like, how can you fish? We don't have a fishing pole. So you just go swimming. It's so much fun. You swim and you catch the fish with your hands. You press triangle. You don't see you're actually catching it. But when it appears, you press triangle and you pick it up. That was actually fun. Going to hunt for different species. Seagulls. Seagulls were the toughest one to get. For me. And pigeons. You need like a seagull feather eventually. Just hunting for stuff is really fun. And they make it easy. Because when you go hunting for stuff, you can create jobs. And then whenever you're throughout the nature going, and there's so many different natures. Like there's water part, San Francisco, Vegas, desert, water, luscious forest. Like you have so many different types. Like you're feeling and you're playing like a whole new world. Compared to the other one. Because you have a big one of the other one. First one at the beginning. So yeah, hunting for stuff. Then eventually also you can capture the essence. Like a Triceratops, or whenever you want to ride them, you want to capture them. You can go back to your base. And you have to craft something. And also that you can do side jobs. And you can ride a Triceratops wherever you want. But anyways, at the end you get the best one. I'm not going to spoil it. 3 hours before the end, you get the best one. You can explore the map all you want. You're free. You finally got something. You don't have to fast travel. I don't want to spoil it, but it's really cool. The swimming part is just epic. You can swim so deep, never run out of air. Don't fight any crocodiles or alligators down there. They're insane to fight underwater. You can hide wherever you want. You got some bushes. You always got to run for the red bushes. That's the only part. I wish you could hide, because the AI, when they see you, that's the other thing. You got so many species. Like the smaller ones, they scream out, and the AI is so smart and so tough. I died so many times. And they call out. We're in the forest. You got those I don't know, panthers. They're invisible and they're really hard to. Once you want to upgrade your bow, you need the generator piece on top or on bottom of that panther, and it's invisible. It's so much fun to hunt. I was going to for something and I forgot it, man. I should write this down, but if I write it down, this video is not gonna have the impact it does usually. Yes, don't when you're hunting, don't silent strike almost all of the robots, because eventually you go to a triceratops, and I'm big enough, I'm tough enough and upgraded, and I try to do the silent strikes, and they walk by and I strike them, and a little tiny bit of energy comes off, and then they start screaming. You didn't kill them off. But tinier robots you can, but it's not always good to critical kill the robots, the humans, and the camps. There's also camps to capture rebels. That is also epic. Really tough, because you have to kill the leader. But anyways, I was going for the robots. Like I said, there's so much stuff to do, and I'm 12 minutes in my review. Break off the pieces. Break off the pieces before killing them. You have to scan them and highlight the pieces off of them. And once you break off the pieces, when you can upgrade your whatever, bow and arrow, suits, armor, and there's a bunch of armor to collect, a bunch of bow and arrow. You just don't have one bow and arrow anymore. I got like 4 different ones. One shoots acid, one is ice, one is fire, one is, there's a bunch of stuff to cover. But I did fine. And I did talk about the boss though, all the way to the end. The boss are plenty of hardness, really hard. Then you get to the final boss and it's Dark Souls type of hard. You gotta dodge all the time. Anyways, you'll get to it. I don't want to spoil too much. They cover San Francisco. I just figured out you see the San Francisco bridge on top of the cover. I just figured out. I feel stupid. It's right there. Yeah, San Francisco. And you finally get there. It's really epic, but it's all... The best part was Vegas, underwater. You'll get to it eventually, but... gotta say, must buy, must own masterpiece, and I am calling this... There's too much stuff to do. I want to go back and just play it for free. Just for fun. I do all the side missions and everything. There's so much to do. And don't worry about all the tall necks you can't reach, because at the end, it's gonna be pretty easy. I don't want to spoil it. So that's basically it. I'm sorry I wasn't fast enough. I really wanted to finish the game before talking about it, because this game does this. I was skeptical at first, and I'm like, man, I need to play more, because if I do my review in 10 hours, I'm going to bash this game, and eventually the game got brighter, wider. At the beginning, you really feel like you're playing just the DLC of part 1, honestly. It really feels like a DLC, and then I was afraid there was just going to do another game, but they made it bigger, wider, stronger. The toughness of the monsters compared to the first one, I mean the robots, it's just insane. It's insane. It's so tough, but yet you get so much better and better in time. Don't forget, bow and arrow upgrade all the way at first, then you can upgrade the rest. Your health will upgrade every time you level up, so don't worry about that. I finished the game. It's actually 30 hours, 29 hours and 30 minutes. And I'm level 33. I finished the game. And I'm going to upload final part now, because I finished it. So that's it. Game of the year for me. Definitely. Of 2022. Nothing's going to beat that. First one was the same thing for me. when was the first one released? 2017? 5 years ago? Yeah, that was I gotta go back and replay it. I forgot so much about it. Are you fighting off so many of these guys in part 2? You actually have a boss battle that you have? Because in the first one, you didn't have to fight it. But in this one, you do have to fight it. Thunderjaw, was it called? Anyways, I don't want to spoil too much. I already said too much. Hit that thumbs up. Have a great week. And I'm trying to think, yeah, all the other big games that I really want are coming out March 25th. It's like 4 games coming out. That Ghostwire, New Borderlands, Tiny Tina, and Kirby. There's another one. Can't remember. So we see you soon. Hit that thumbs up, support, send some love to the channel, as always. And have a great one.